Hey everyone, this is Carrick here. I'm watching another tournament game here from the Wraths and Orange tournament. Strangely enough, we have Orange here in the upper right-hand corner, also known as Landlord, as our green Protoss. In the upper left-hand corner, we have Saiyen, who is actually a random player, but has rolled Protoss for this game as the yellow Protoss. So this will be a really interesting game. Teldarim is a very big map. As you can see, there's 4 different spawn locations. And at this point, Landlord does not know the race of his opponent. Well, his opponent obviously knows his race. And with a game like PvP, or Protoss versus Protoss, it's a lot of one-base play to start out with. PvP really used to be very 4-gate centric before the last patch, but the last patch introduced some changes which made the warp gate research time a lot longer, which is going to turn PvP into a more interesting game. We can see a really quick scout here on the pylon scout by Landlord. He does have this forward pylon here, which, you know, against Zerg, you would really do a Forge Fast expand. Against Terran, your build might be completely different than that, so it's really interesting to see what he's going to do here. He's not thrown down a gateway yet on 12. I would expect that to come down on 12 or 13. He's sending the probe down now. Over here we have a really quick gas out of Saiyen. The gas actually before the gateway, which is really interesting. We might see some sort of really quick tech, possibly quick blink stalkers, quick DTs. The possibilities are really endless. Again, he can take advantage of the fact that his opponent has no idea what his race is, and he knows everything about his opponent. So we got the gas before gateway here. Over here in Landlord's base, we still don't have a gas on 15, which is a little bit later than usual, but we can see it going down. So I wouldn't really expect a 4-gate out of either of these players right now. We have the gateway going down at the choke here. Again, in PvPs, it's really interesting because one-base PvP builds are so strong against any type of Protoss quick expansion, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And we have the gateway just about ready to finish for Saiyen here, and he is sending out his first scout. As you can see, he doesn't know the location of his opponent yet, but from judging the angle that probe came in, he could probably guess that he's in the upper right, but he is going to send the probe the whole way around. We do see the scout here. If he were to click on the assimilator, he could see that the gas has been mining for some time and then just go up. The first unit out for Saiyen will be really interesting to see. It might be indicative of this build, and we have nothing coming out, so no zealot or quick zealot pressure or anything like that, but we do have a zealot coming out now. From Landlord, we still have yet to see anything. He does throw down a cybernetics core here inside of his base, not at that choke again. May not feel so comfortably in close position with another Protoss and his stuff out in the choke here, but as long as he plays it like a normal game at a normal choke point, he should be okay. We can see that there's no walling attempt here by Saiyen. And he has got this probe in here. It's doing all kinds of scouting, really good stuff out of him. He's getting all the information he could ever possibly need. He sees the second gas go up, I think, which is, again, really indicative of some tech builds. Whereas he himself has yet to scout Landlord's base, so he doesn't know what's coming out of there. Over here we have, in production, we have another zealot coming out for Landlord's first zealot, actually. We have Warp Gate in production. He does have some Chrono Boost saved up in his Nexus. It'll be interesting to see what he uses them on, either on Probes or Warp Gate. I would expect them to come down on Warp Gate, and there it is. So this will be a pretty interesting game. We do see a Stalker coming out here. He could try to do some sort of 2 or 3 gate pressure. He's bringing out a robotics facility. And again, this might be some sort of 1-gate, 1-robo pressure build with an Immortal. I don't know. I'm not well versed in PvP, but it's a really interesting build, and it's the meta game of a random versus a Protoss is always fascinating to me. We do see a Stalker coming out here, and he's finally getting a scout off, and he will get inside the base and be able to see everything that Landlord is doing. He'll see the cybernetics core. He will see the 1 gas. I assume he'll see the 2nd gas in just a moment, and it'll be interesting to see how he reacts. We do see the Twilight Council going down for Landlord, and it is scouted. So he did see that, assuming he clicked on it. So this looks like Blink Stalkers out of Landlord's base here, and over here we have Robotics play. Robotics versus Blink Stalkers is always a really interesting matchup because the pure power of the Immortals plus the Gateway units overpowers pure Stalkers, but the mobility and micro abilities with Blink Stalker will... Well, I'm going to stop right there because now we have a robotics bay going down. So this is obviously going to be some sort of 1-base Colossus pressure, which again is really interesting. Colossus are obviously really good against gateway units and do well against them, but the Blink Stalkers are going to allow him to do some really creative things and good micro and put on some pressure pretty early. And we can see Blink is being researched right now, and an Immortal is coming out, which will help defensively. But the mobility of the Blink Stalkers is just going to be difficult to deal with, even though his army will be more powerful in the end. Do see a Forge going up for Landlord. I assume that it is for upgrades. And we see 400 minerals banked here for Saiyen. I assume he's waiting for his gateway tech to finish so he can pop out some units, and then he'll use the bulk of his resources on a Colossus and then working out gateway units. We can see him coming down here. I assume to play some sort of proxy pylon at the beginning of his base, and here it does come the Colossus. He still only has one gateway in production, so this is going to be a very weak army until that Colossus gets out, and he's pretty vulnerable right now despite the Immortal due to the mobility of the Blink Stalkers that'll be coming in pretty soon. He does scout it, does see the pressure coming. So he will be ready for it, and this Colossus I do think will make it out in time, especially if we have to wait for a pylon to build, so this could be a very interesting micro battle here. We do see Thermal Lance actually in production, so he is just spending an unbelievable amount of resources on very high-tech units off of one base. So he really does need to do a lot of damage with this, but on the other hand, his opponent is merely on one base too, and you can see the photon cannon go down on the line here. He still doesn't know that he has Colossus or what tech he's doing, so it is possible that he's afraid of a DT build, and that's why he's trying to get the detection up. So he can handle the Dark Templar, but indeed it is not Dark Templar. So we're going to see a push here from Landlord up. Now he's coming back out. He's not going to... He sees the Colossus, and he is going to put some pressure on that Zealot and a nice blink away to get out of there. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to attack in that choke with Immortal and Colossus doing a lot of damage. He is going to come up here. Not a good engagement coming up the wall there. Takes a lot of unnecessary damage on his Stalkers, but doesn't lose too much. And steps away. We'll take a look at the units lost tab. As we can see, it's pretty darn even for both sides. And if we look at the army value tab, we can see that the army supplies are pretty even, with obviously an army strength advantage to Landlord, but a worker advantage, or an army strength advantage to Saiyen, and a worker advantage to Landlord. But of course, Landlord also has that mobility advantage. So we have a possible engagement going on here as he's sweeping by it. Oh yeah, he's going to blink up into the base. If he could blink up onto that cliff there, he could focus down that Colossus. And is he going to get the Colossus? Oh, just barely gets away, but he is in the base here, and he does have the high ground now. This is a really nice location for Landlord. He is into the main base. He can do a lot of damage in here. It's going to take time for those Colossus to walk up. One of the Colossi is extremely weak. He can kill a lot of probes and then hopefully blink away down onto the low ground. He is trapped in here by the Colossus, but if you blinked on top of this Colossus, he could do a lot of damage. Taking down these two Colossus would be absolutely huge, despite losing his army doing it. But if he doesn't take out these Colossus, I would say it really puts him behind, as he didn't take out any of the high-tech units, but he lost a lot of his Blink Stalkers. But he did do a lot of damage to the Colossus' hull, and not simply their shield. So I would say that was definitely a battle that way favored Saiyen, but his two big tech units are very low on health right now. We can see another push up by Landlord. As he comes up, he's taking a lot of unnecessary damage. I'll move commanding up there. He does absolutely no damage, then blinks out. That was a huge win for Saiyen, and he's, I would say, now way ahead in the game. We can see another engagement in the middle here out in the open. The Blink Stalkers blink away. And this army just doesn't stand a chance, regardless of blink or otherwise. Really, you know, Landlord's best opportunity right now would to maybe push some sort of economic advantage that he has with a couple more probes, but the tech advantage that Saiyen has is just so huge. He might want to consider going in here, and if he could catch his army out of position, doing some sort of base trade. We can see that the army is out of position down here while the Blink Stalkers are moving up near the base. I don't think Saiyen has any vision of this coming. He doesn't. But he is about to walk right into the Colossi. And these three Colossi, despite the best Blink micro in the world, will probably take care of these Stalkers pretty easily, especially with the Immortal. He does manage to get one of the Colossi, but this army is getting bigger and more powerful by the second, and getting scarier and scarier for Landlord to deal with. We can see he is warping in some more Stalkers up here. He's not working on any tech of his own, really, outside of the Blink and trying to expand. He does blink on top of this army. He's trying to focus down the Colossi, but his army is taking an incredible amount of damage. We can see the Immortal has 5 kills, and the Colossus one of them has 5 kills as well. And this army is just getting absolutely decimated. It's now completely out of position, and he's warping in 3 Stalkers at his main base, but it's certainly not going to be enough. He is way behind at this point. We can see in the army supply graph that he's almost 30 supply behind in army. And despite all the Stalkers he's blinking in here, or warping in here, it's not going to make a difference. Saiyen's basically just going to be able to A-move into this base and take care of it. He can abuse the cliff here on the Blink Stalkers, and even if they blink down, they really don't stand any chance at all. So this game is effectively over. Saiyen will win game 1 as he takes out the Nexus here. And Landlord, despite his best efforts, won't be... I don't think he could even handle these alone without even considering the Colossi support. Just because of the pure power of the Immortal, it does so much damage. And then the Colossi on top of it with Thermal Lance allows Micro, despite Blink, just to handle it. So we'll see a GG here any second, I assume. He blinks back into his base, but it's not really going to make much of a difference. He's just so far ahead right now. And we do see the GG, and Saiyen will take game 1. This will go to a game 2. Best of 3.